I'm Josh Cooperman, and this is Convo by Design, featuring a conversation with Erin Minckley of Relativity Textiles, an artist who started a textiles company from passion and love, came a business, and that's just the beginning. From brand building to creating and sharing is how Erin crafted an idea to build a business. A business based on passion, but also a business crafted to succeed in a very crowded, very competitive space. How? While we do get into the weeds a little bit about building a business, it's something I generally stay away from because Convo by Design is not a business of design show. There are more than enough of those, and you have no shortage of business of design podcasts. I never wanted to do that. For me, it's about the stories behind the work that I find so fascinating. And Erin's story is an interesting one for sure. That story can't be told without first exploring why she wanted to get into such a competitive space and how she does it differently. And she's going to tell you all about that right after this. I am just incredibly proud of this partnership I've got with Thermosol. They have been presenting partners of Convo by Design going on 5 years now. And there is a certain amount of pride that comes with saying that the show is presented by the company that is the best in the world at what they do. Thermosol engineers the most exceptional smart shower products and steam shower systems worldwide, full stop. And it's for a few reasons. First of all, they were the first company to design and patent the technology here in the United States, dating back to 1958. Thermosol, a U.S.-based manufacturer based in Round Rock, Texas, employs an engineering team that designs, tests, and continuously refines the product. Their quality control team tests every single steam generator before it departs the factory. Who else does that? Nobody that I know of. I have the pleasure of working with some world-class designers and architects who tell me, and if you're in the business, you know this, that the idea of luxury has changed, especially when clients want a spa-like bathroom. Steam is mandatory, or it's just not considered a luxury. And if you want to add steam, you have only one true option, my opinion, and that's Thermosol. Mitch Altman, third generation CEO of this family-owned company of 65 years, continues to innovate in the bathroom and shower space through technological marvels such as intelligent showering systems, sound therapy, aromatherapy, technical interfaces, and so much more. And now Thermosol, the industry leader in steam bath equipment and technology since 1958, as I mentioned, is enhancing its already stellar family of products with the new indoor and outdoor luxury saunas available in 3 designs. The configurations are absolutely amazing, and you should probably go check them out. Indoor and outdoor options. It's amazing. You really do need to check them out. Go to thermosol.com or
I
at
actually
Thermosol
love that
on the
whole
socials.
idea of just finished a really big project, an install, and now I'm taking time. I'm taking some time just to sort of decompress. You don't really hear that much anymore. Everybody, you notice when you go to events, everyone you ask, how are you? And they tell you how busy they are.
Yeah.
So I love hearing that you're just sort of taking some time off. Tell me about the
Yeah.
project and tell me what was so special about it.
Sure. Well, we, you know, I'm an artist at heart. And so I approach this whole business of like textiles as an artist, but we're in a really weird time in the world right now. And
Really?
yes, and it's affected me a lot as a human, and it's affected my business a lot. And I've had to make some choices, but like by the way of the universe, a designer that I know very well, she actually lives across the street from me. She was asked to do a restaurant, and she's an interior designer. She does commercial design. And the owners of the restaurant are Palestinian, and their company is called Pita Pita. And it's a kind of a fast casual chain of Palestinian food places in Chicago. And so my friend Angie asked me if I would do all of the wallpapers for this restaurant. And we really like put our heads together and collaborated on the design. We manufactured all of the wallpaper for the restaurant, and we actually ended up installing a lot of the wallpaper as well. And I have a team of 4 interns, and it's me and 4 interns. And just 2 days ago, we spent about 6 hours on ladders, and everything was getting installed. This is actually a sample of the feature wallpaper. And these young girls like learned how to do all of the skills of installation, and it all came together. But it was a little bit stressful for a minute, and it's a lot of manual labor. We print here, we design here, and now we're like installing the wallpaper. So they got to see it from start to finish. But yeah, it was a little hectic. I don't know, what part of the design world most of the listeners are from, but in commercial design, I guess it's this way. Like, there's so many decisions to be made, and we were kind of rapid fire designing this. And now when you go into the restaurant, you would never even know that all of that went into it. But it's like an Arabic script and kind of abstracted. And I like that.
I like that too. There is so much there to unpack. And I actually want to sort of dive in a little bit deeper, because I can tell, unless I'm completely off base, I'm usually not, but I can tell that this is something that's meaningful for
Oh
you.
yeah, it really is.
Nowadays, and I think, you talk about who's listening. I think one of the things, after doing this as long as I have, and having people come up to me and talk to me about the show, is it runs the gamut from residential, commercial, hospitality, industrial,
Mhm.
to architects, designers, to manufacturers of product, to artisans and artists, but also people who just love design.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing that I love, is talking to people. I love talking to people, and I love talking to creatives, and I love having these conversations. And something that we haven't talked about before, and I want to get to product, and I want to talk about product and installation and manufacturing and all the good stuff, right? But
Sure.
you know, this is a weird time to be alive, and there are so many societal issues that are going on right now. And you talk about working with a Palestinian. I could correct me if I'm wrong, but I could almost tell that maybe there was a little bit of apprehension. The moment you say working with a Jewish client or working with a Palestinian client, it's like, oh, I know that as soon as I say that, I'm going to upset somebody.
Probably.
Because we're so fractional and tribal, and somebody's going to pick a side. Do
Right.
you think about that? Is that on your mind?
100%.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, because I would like to be an artist that provides beautiful wall coverings and textiles to anyone. And I don't have any discrimination about who the person is who I'm designing for, or what their religious background or what their values are. It's not my place to judge where they come from. But I did have something happen in October, right after October 7th occurred, where I was working with a Jewish client, and I was posting my own sort of political views on Instagram, and a $40,000 project, the plug got pulled. And I realized that, number one, they say, don't mix your politics and your personal politics with your business and your brand. I realized I can't separate them, because I, first and foremost, am an artist. And for me, art is a way to start conversations. Art is a way to show someone something they haven't seen before. Art is a way to express yourself. And I'm here expressing myself every day, whether or not a designer is picking up a sample and saying, wow, this is beautiful. It matches a sofa. 4 double rolls, please. Or if they really like read the website or listen to the conversation and say, I like this girl. she has really cool ideas and they buy it for that reason. I don't know necessarily what someone, like how much homework someone has done about me when they're buying my work, but I am a brand. And at the heart of it, it's me, just Erin, a girl somewhere in Chicago making art. And I don't think that I should feel put in a box by trying to like be a brand like Crate and Barrel or, you know, some other brand. Like I'm not just the spokesperson for a brand. I'm not just the sales lady. Like this is my heart and soul going into everything that I design. And it's not separate from art, even though it's a product. So, you know, like I sort of straddled those worlds of artist, designer, um, person, and brand. And I try to meet everyone's needs, but at the end of the day, it's still just my work. And that's the meaningful part of this. It's the purpose behind it is that I'm getting to share beauty with other people, something I made. So yes, that's my long-winded version of saying it is personal and it's going to be personal.
I'm glad we're having this conversation. I think it's important, and I can tell it's meaningful to you. It's meaningful to me. It's interesting because I will tell you, um, I have unfollowed some people on the socials.
Mhm.
I don't get into social media arguments because
Mhm.
they're stupid
Yeah.
and they're pointless. Um, I personally, look, I'm a journalist. I'm an artisan too. But I'm a journalist first and foremost.
Mhm.
And my job is to shine a light, but I will tell you, um, I don't get into the fray. I think, I stay, it's not that I stay in my lane.
Mhm.
It's that after so many years doing what I do and starting out in broadcast, and I was on political, I was working for political stations before,
Mhm.
and I saw firsthand how words misinterpreted or uninterpreted can lead to fights, and
Sure.
you get people to shut it off. And man, I totally get what you're saying. The loss of a $40,000 project is significant. And I imagine that you probably never expected that to happen.
Well, obviously, I never expected the political state of the world to happen as it has either, but yeah, no, I guess I expected that my client knew enough about me that she knew my views, right? Because everything on my marketing says inspired by the world and globally inspired. And this pattern's inspired by Iran, and this pattern's inspired by Morocco, and this one India, and this one Japan. And I'm kind of trying to be the Marco Polo of textile design, like, like let's just get everyone represented here. Um, and I just kind of assumed that she already knew a lot about me, but she
What does
didn't.
that what does that show you? That I mean, you can't assume. And I bring
No.
this up because you know if you're on social media and you look at what people do, and especially, I mean, look, creatives are more emotional than others, and when
Yes.
we have something to say, we want to go out and say it, and to not say it is almost, you know what it is, it's almost counterintuitive to the authenticity of our character.
It is.
to- Totally get that. At the same time, and I've had off-air conversations with creatives, designers, architects who feel strongly one way or the other. Some voice their issues on their public facing
Hmm.
business social, and I have not seen it yet where it hasn't come back to bite somebody. I think if you do it on your personal site, then you've got that. You could still run into issues, but at least then you've got ability to say, well, look, I separate my personal views from my professional views because
Sure.
it's important. Where does that where is that line? Because now we communicate so freely and easily via social. And I think it relates directly back to, I mean, look, as a creative, right? And doing what you do, you have so much to consider. You have to consider the political nature of your art. Art has always been political, has it not?
It is. And because it's so personal, it's political. Like to me, the most political thing is the personal. It is the decision that you make to pull your kid out of school. It is the decision that you make to move to a new neighborhood. It is those ways that your lifestyle lines up with your values. That's the most political thing you can do. It's not going to a protest or yelling through a megaphone. And I think that that's what social media has become to some degree, is a platform for people to yell through a megaphone. And I think that my message was more of a message of peace and seeing both sides of the story, because obviously there's tragedy in both directions. Um, but when you try as an artist to stay neutral, and when you try as a brand to meet everyone's needs, you actually are going to fail because you're trying to like serve everyone. And I have come to a place where like I'm super okay with the fact that I'm not for everyone. My services are not for everyone. Not everyone can afford them. My products are not for everyone. Some people like boring wallpaper. My truth and my value system is not for everyone. And that's okay for me. And what I had to really do to get to that place recently is take a total diet from Instagram. I had to completely cut Instagram out of my diet. And what happened for my mental health was that I came around to knowing that the real world and existing in the real world, like with my neighbor who is a designer, or I have two designers across the street from my storefront retail space, existing there is so much more gratifying than trying to beef up and amp up this persona that I have on a platform where most people are strangers to me. And to live in that world of how others perceive me was causing me serious anxiety. Because I was
Was
like, is
that
what I'm saying right? Is what I'm saying neutral enough? Is what I'm saying okay? And would the other people that really know me be all right with me saying it in this way? And is this off brand? Like there was too much of that questioning myself. So I just cut it completely out, and I haven't posted a single thing on Instagram in 30 days. And I've still had like $30,000, $50,000 months in revenue since October with no social media marketing. And that actually gave me this like, whoa, you mean to tell me that I don't have to keep up with all this, and I don't have to have a social media account, and I don't have to engage with everyone, and I don't have to like and subscribe and this and this. And maybe some of that is the fact that I've been here for almost a decade doing what I'm doing. So like there are enough people out there that already know me through word of mouth and other ways that I can still run my business, but that it's not everything. Like Instagram and the perception that you have out there on social media is not everything.
You are listening to my conversation with Erin Minckley of Relativity Textiles, and we will be right back right after this. We talk about this all the time on the show, how design professionals like you just don't have the time to find your favorite brands in one place with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commissioned professionals to help you specify the right product for each of your projects. They're all different, right? Non-commissioned, though, that means their only incentive is your satisfaction, your happiness. And Pacific Sales, Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that. With over 60 years of service in Southern California, Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. It's really as good as it gets. Here's the cherry on top. There's even more. Access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands like Viking, Thermador, Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Decor. Visit a Pacific Sales showroom today to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. They're going to help you manifest your projects and make it a reality. Check them out. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, where excellence meets expertise.
Design Hardware's newly remodeled showroom is where you will find a gallery-style space with a thoughtful display of products, purposefully positioned to allow unbridled exploration and discovery. High-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware selections are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find your inspiration, collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your shopping list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles.
Isn't it interesting too? There's this sense of anxiety. Like if your phone crashes or gets stolen or whatever, you lose it. People don't even think about the cost of replacing the phone. It's just the fact that they're disconnected. And I think that social media has created this false narrative that you are in some way connected, that somehow, some way, all of those people that show up in a number are actual people that are meaningful within your life. Chances are they're not, but it's a feel good. It's gamification of an emotional response. And I bring that up not because I want this to be so heavy. I want to get back to the work. Like I am infatuated with the work behind you, which you mentioned is the wallpaper. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's stunning. And by the way, if you didn't tell me that it was Arabic, I don't think I would have known.
Sure.
But
that's okay. That's good.
That doesn't change the way that I personally view it. I think it's wonderful. I think the work that you do is wonderful, and I wonder too, the lessons learned from that social media diet, has that changed the way that you think as an artist? Has it changed, not the business side, because I don't do the business side. Like I'm fine talking about the business of design or someone's firm. We talk, I ask questions about the business all the time, but it's not because I'm trying to share lessons about someone's business, but I find it that how someone sort of approaches their business and approaches their art says a great deal about who they are as a person and how they operate professionally and personally. Has that changed the way that you operate personally and professionally? And is that the lesson, that taking a minute off social media was not a bad thing?
I mean, yes, I think that, I think one of my highest standards of integrity is that I want to be known as a great businesswoman. I also want to be known as an artist. And so trying at all times to kind of maintain that, I want to be able to run a business that's successful because it supports my lifestyle and I don't have another stream of income and I don't have another person supporting me. So it's just this, right? And so I have to have a business that is well run, and I have to have revenue that hits targets, and I have to be that kind of masculine energy on one side. And then I also have to have this creativity and this nurturing sense of self-care while trying to run the show. And I have to maintain balance between those two kinds of energies, because it's very easy to get into a trap of hitting targets and strategy and numbers. And what you do when you take that road of climb, keep going, is that you take out the human connection element. And what I had to do when Instagram became no longer my main focus for how I connected is I had to go back to the era of my grandfather, who was a door-to-door salesman. And pick up the phone and say, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. What are you working on? What kind of projects are you doing? Do you need any wallpaper? And I started also putting my focus and putting my energy into collaborations with other artists. So interestingly enough, Relativity Textiles has always been Erin Minckley's art. And at the time I started the business, my initials were EMC, like E equals MC squared. And that's where the theory of relativity became this beautiful metaphor for like, we all see design from our own unique perspective and it's all relative. But it was really like my initials kind of started that. And I think that, where was I going with that? You know, the human connection part is that I had to get rid of the need to like feel validated by social media and remember, oh yeah, remember like I have all these artists that come to me all the time and they say, wow, how do you do what you do? You paint something, you scan it, you put it into Adobe Illustrator, you make a pattern, you print it in the back room on this big fancy machine, and then you sell it and you ship it and you have a website. And like, I want to do that. That sounds great. And I go, okay, are you willing to work 50 hours a week? Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to like max out all your credit cards? Are you willing to like really invest in yourself? Are you willing to, go above and beyond and do this, this, and this? And that was what during COVID motivated me to write a book. And the book is called Artists Who Thrive. Artists Who Thrive is like a formula and also my pseudo memoir of like how I started this business as a starving artist. I had $0. So when artists come to me and I tell them, yeah, you could do this and it's going to cost you at least $30,000 to like launch your own line, they always go, oh, okay, yeah, that's way too much money. And I don't think I can do that. And like, I'll see you in a couple of years when I like maybe scrap up all this money and save it. And there's other ways around it. Like you can do a Kickstarter campaign. That's what I did. I raised $20,000 in 60 days back in 2016. And if I hadn't done that, I never would have started a business. 225 of my friends on Facebook gave me money. And I like went every day on Facebook and was like, hi, I'm still raising money. Anybody got $25? So that's one way of doing it. But also now that I have this like soapbox to stand on, and now that I have an audience on Instagram and other places, what if I just started asking other artists, do you want to put your stuff on my website? Do you want me to help you put a collection together? And yeah, you're not going to pay me anything probably upfront, but I could probably license things from you, just like Schumacher licenses things and Kravitz licenses things from Kelly Wearstler. By the way, she's probably not the one that painted all of the designs. There's some, young intern doing watercolors or something, but she's doing a royalty agreement. Why don't we do a royalty agreement? And all these artists like, okay, great, I'm in. What do I need to do? And so I started fostering those relationships where I'm someone here and there's someone just starting out. And why can't I allow them to use my platform as a way to get a little bit more revenue? Maybe they can like take a vacation once a year, a little bit more of an audience. Maybe someone's going to leave my website and go to their art website and buy a painting. Okay, this is like where where there's this symbiotic, ecosystem, and we all kind of like rely on each other and feed off of each other and benefit each other, and we collaborate. Like that was my hope in 2023. And I launched 2 collections of other artists, and we put 6 months of our time into each collection. And it was so much work. And I also did 2 show houses. One was for House Beautiful magazine. I did all this decorative painting and custom wallpaper for a wonderful designer named Isabel Ladd in Lexington, Kentucky. And I was exhausted. at the end of 2023. I was so spent and I hadn't launched anything of my own. But, like really here I am in this moment, like putting my energy into collaborating with other artists and other creatives. And magically, without social media, orders are still coming in. Things are still magnetizing towards me. Opportunities are still coming. And I didn't really have to go hunt them down or desperately tell people like, I'll give you 30% off if you just buy this wallpaper. Like I have to pay my bills. And so I think a lot of it is, like, what am I willing to get rid of? And what am I willing to say no to? And that's where I'm at for like January and February. It's like,
It's so funny. So basically your dry January. I don't know if you drink or not, but your dry January was social media. That was
yeah,
your.
that was my dry January.
So why do you think the orders still came? What? And by the way, there's got to be some separation between. I especially love this with my artist friends and my super creatives. The more creative people are, the more they seem to believe in manifestation and that the universe just delivers.
The universe.
And by the way, don't get me wrong, I am a believer, right? Totally get it to a degree. I don't think everything happens for a reason. I don't think the universe always answers your call. I don't think that. I just don't.
Hello?
I don't. Yeah. Why do you? So I preface this by saying, don't make it too woo-woo, unless that's just where you go. But why does that keep happening? What do you think it is? What's the common denominator?
Okay. I'm gonna have like a really good smart response to this, okay? Because I don't know is like the real answer, but like what I'm gonna say instead is, instead of what can I get, it's what can I give? Like, what am I good at? I'm good at helping people. I'm good at coaching artists and creating something with them so that they can have what I have, because I was them 8 years ago, just starting out. I know a lot of tricks on how to not suffer through the process of growing a brand. And I know not what not to do, but like I can give that to someone and I can light their candle off of mine and my own flame is not going to go out. So instead of being like, well, what kind of brand partnerships can I have? And like, who's going to give me a free refrigerator? And like, how can I blog about something so that I'll get free product? Or how can I, like partner with somebody so that they'll accept me? And it's like, that's a really tough mentality to keep going. And I'd much rather just shift it to like, what can I give back to this design community? Well, I can give you beautiful wallpaper. And if you really want something that you don't see on my website, just call me and I will draw it or paint it for you. And we will just create it in Photoshop and say like this. And you can say, make that a little more purple. And then we just make it a little more purple. So I can offer these services of designing things for people. And I think what Relativity Textiles kind of website became was like a little bit of a portfolio, a little bit of a landing page, a little bit of like the catalog of, yes, we have these pictures that you can order as textiles, but we can also do a lot more. And so I don't really want to say that on my website, like we design anything for anybody.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
That's not what I do. And I don't want to copy Kelly Wearstler and make a wallpaper that looks like that because you don't want to pay so much for the Kravit product. Like I'm in the interest of, serving designers, educating them on what wallpaper can be and what kind of glue to use and why it's you can put it in a powder room or you can put it in a bathroom and the steam of the shower every day is not going to peel it off the wall. And, I can educate and I can inspire people. I can say, hey guys, I've been hustling for 8 years and I barely paid my bills the first 4 years of this business. And I became a single mom at the same month that I started a business. Don't recommend 1-star review on Yelp. Don't do that. But I've been building this for 10 years and it was, originally I only had 300 followers on Instagram and my mom kept liking everything that I posted and she'd say, "Good job, honey." And I go, "Mom, this is a real business. You can't post that." Like I was there at one point in time too. So I hope that if, you're bored, you can scroll all the way back to the very first post I ever made and see that we all started somewhere. And that's hopefully inspiring to someone that wants to be a textile designer.
It's funny. Just in that response alone, I love that, Erin. I really do. I found something recently that kind of reminded me while you were talking. I was reminded about this. Through my career, I've had to move so many times: LA to Dallas to Miami, back to Dallas, back to LA. I went to school in Washington. I mean, I've moved around quite a bit, right?
Mm.
And throughout all that time, I used to have all of these cassettes, like actual cassette tapes. I've got them all over my desk because
You're dating yourself now.
look, I'm the first one to date myself. I totally, but I've been moving around with all of these, and I'm kind of equating this to like not just physical baggage, but emotional baggage as well.
Mhm.
And I recently, I knew I had it, right. I found this box of tapes, and I was like, you know what? I got to know what's on them. I just have to know. So I went and bought on Amazon. It was $20. It was a cassette to USB.
Mhm.
And I started listening to some of these cassettes, and I used to I was an on-air intern for a huge morning show in Los Angeles, early 90s. So yes, I'm totally dating myself. But I found all these cassettes of me with, talking to Anthony Hopkins and talking to Brian May from Queen. And there was one where I was on air doing this. I was auditioning for a VJ spot on MTV, and Martha Quinn was on the phone, like critiquing and I realized something, like those were the days. Here's where I'm going with this. Long story short, I was reminded of, because I got to hear myself again, my 20-year-old self.
Mhm.
And I got to hear myself, a guy who had a pager. That was my big form of communication. I did not have a cell phone. Nobody had cell phones. I did not have a computer. I did not have social media. I did not have a website. I did not have 5,000 people that follow me on Instagram, of which maybe I know 300 of them because they're, designers. And I'm listening to myself, and I'm listening to you as we're having this conversation. And I'm reminded, and I think maybe people, it's kind of like that boiling frog effect, right? Where it just keeps, the water gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and you don't realize the detriment. If we got back to the simplicity of it, where it's like, it's art, it's artistry, it's design, it's creativity, it's relationships.
Mhm.
What else is there?
Yeah. I'm thinking about, so I did another restaurant project this month. And because I'm working with this artist, she does like wall treatments, like faux finishing and, hand painted details and gold foil and these kinds of things. And she was like, could this translate to wall covering? I was like, absolutely. It's going to be so amazing. Let's do it. So for free, I've been turning all of her stuff into art, and I've been making everything into pattern repeat and multiple colorways and this kind of stuff. We're going to put it on the website and just like test the waters, see if it works. And normally I would charge someone like $30,000 consultant fee for doing this. And I'm doing it for free. And I just think to myself sometimes, like, God, am I crazy? I'm putting so much work into this. Like, what if it doesn't work out? And why am I doing this for her? But I like her energy. She's from Poland. She's like in her 50s. She's like, I want to retire and get off the ladder and stop painting people's walls. I'm like, all right, I like this lady. I'm gonna help her. And she gives me a call like 3 weeks ago and said, hey, I'm gonna connect you to this designer in Chicago. His name's Scott Himmel, and he's been designing forever. And I didn't even Google him or anything. He came to my studio. He brought a bag of colored pencils. He brought a hand-drawn rendering of the floor plan and these 4 separate walls. He goes, okay, this one's going to be purple. Takes out a color pencil. Purple here. See, 8 feet, 6 feet. Da, da. This part over here is going to be brown. And this is going to be blue. And he said, here's a picture in a book. He brought me a book. Here's a picture of a Gordon Ramsay restaurant from New York that's been closed for 20 years. And I love this wallpaper. And I took a picture of it with my phone. And he said, you can keep the book if you want. I was like, no, that's fine. I got a picture on my phone. And he goes, if you can, to some degree, kind of recreate the feel of these 3 wallpapers, we're going to put them in this new restaurant in Gold Coast in Chicago. Very nice neighborhood. And I said, okay. And so I went and did a couple watercolor paintings, and I scanned them. I put them into pattern repeat. I printed him a sample, and I basically showed him like this in about 1 week. And he texted me back, and I want to read you the actual text, okay? Because it was just like the proof in the pudding. He says, Erin, they are amazing. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am with them. The colors on the brown one is perfect. It's book matched, but some other feedback. Other than that, they are just beautiful and will make the restaurant all on their own. Congratulations. And I sent him an invoice for $15,000. He paid it right away, and all the wallpaper is printed. It's ready to install on like the first week of March. And that was it. Like, I connected with Bojena. Bojena said, Scott, this lady can do this for you. Scott came to my office. That was it. And he gave me the creative freedom to design something with his inspiration, his Pantone colors, and his renderings. And it was like that simple. It doesn't have to be like a 12-point marketing strategy and download
Two
here,
dozen,
click
2 dozen
now.
KPI. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's funny too, because
There was no sales funnel.
top of funnel, bottom of funnel. No,
Yeah.
it's funny. I remember, I have this tendency to repeat things over and over again when I hear something that is meaningful to me, and I just on my mind constantly. And it's credited back to another painter, Pablo Picasso, who is credited with saying the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And I think that requires some interpretation, because it doesn't mean you have to go be a pauper and poor and just do work for free. That's not what I gleaned from that. What I gleaned from that is, discovering what it is that your true gifts are, steering your life in that direction, and then becoming so successful at what you do that the monetary compensation, while it comes, doesn't necessarily rival the emotional compensation that one gets from doing meaningful work.
Yeah.
And I think, you talk about your dad, who was a door-to-door salesman.
My grandfather, yeah.
Sorry, grandfather. I spent years in broadcast, I sold radio airtime. I was a sales director, and that was one of the most unhappy parts of my entire career. I was very successful at it, but I did not enjoy it. And so I'm totally picking up what you're putting down. Here's the question now is, where's the secret sauce with regard to replicating that and continuing to build momentum? Because I think you really kind of nailed part of it in that story, is that connectors beget connectors, right, which means success, which begets success. Right. How do you manifest that? How do you keep that moving forward?
Good question. Um, you know, what I was thinking as you brought up Pablo Picasso's quote was like, I could have easily done this with my art. Like, this is a painting I made. This is a fabric I made. This is a wallpaper I made. I could have easily like painted paintings and scaled a business that way. But what I decided to do instead, because at that time in my mindset, I thought, oh, if I design a product line, that's going to get me to successful business status faster than me just painting my art and trying to sell that, right? So, but I do kind of have a more of a commercial mindset. Like, what do you need? What do you want? Let me translate it. Boom, like this. Here you go. But yeah, I decided to do a product line instead of just marketing myself as an artist. Now the art becomes a product. It's wallpaper. We print it, you get it, you put it on the wall. It's very easy to understand what it is. And then I can go sell it as here's the glue you use. This is the lead time. And it's going to come in a double roll that's 30 feet long. It's very manageable because it's packaged somehow as a thing. So number one, you have to figure out what is your packaged offer. You can't just say like, I make art for anybody, any color, any style. Like that doesn't work. So it was easier for me to say, I have this collection of wall coverings. I have a new line of fabrics. Those are easier things to sell. But everything that I learned from sales, I learned in the Girl Scouts. And I know that sounds kitschy as hell, but it's really
No, it doesn't. No, it does not. It
you
does
got
not.
the
It
really
sounds.
cute sash. Everyone knows who you are. You got a clipboard with a bunch of lines on it. You knock on a door. If they don't have money, you come back the next day. If they're not home, you cross their name off the list. And until you have that whole clipboard filled out, you can't go home. So it was $4 a box. What flavor do you want? Now it's $400 a roll. How many rolls do you need? And I'm just knocking on doors. How many interior designers did I know when I started out? Zero. I had to go meet all these people. I had to call them. I had to email them. I had to find them on Instagram. I had to hunt them down and say, can I come show you my products? And some of them didn't order for like 5 years. So if I meet 100 people this year, I don't even know if 10 of them are going to order, but that means I just need to meet 100 more people next year. And if I meet an artist in her 50s who connects me to a designer in his 60s, those two people have been knocking on doors a whole lot longer than I have. And even they know people at different showrooms. They know people at different. And so, Scott went to the Merchandise Mart downtown Chicago, which is our big design hub center. And he was saying, oh, I did this custom wallpaper with this girl named Erin. And they go, oh, Relativity Textiles. Why? Because I used to go to the showrooms and buy them lunch. And I used to say, I know you guys are like a shark and I'm a little minnow in the ocean where we all are somehow competing with each other for sales of textiles. But like, can you guys teach me anything? What's your big seller right now? They're like, ooh, murals are a big thing. Okay, noted. Like maybe I need something that's more of a mural. What is a designer's biggest concern when they come in here? It's lead time, it's customization, it's this. And I would just ask them questions like, I'm new in this industry. What do I need to know? So there are a lot of people out there that have a lot more expertise than me. There's people out there that know a lot more people. They're better connected. I want to connect to them because at some point our networks will overlap. And so that's for me, manifesting isn't really real. Like, yes, I would love the feeling of having $1 million and I could just like Scrooge McDuck, like swim around in my room full of coins. But I can't just like hope for money. I can't just hope for sales. Like I have to actually purposefully go out into the world and network. And um, this guy named Bobby Chang, who owns a soda company in Chicago, told me this once. I was like, I need to do more networking. He goes, Erin, networking is just being yourself in public. Like just go to design parties, just go to a bar, go anywhere where other people are and sling a couple cards or tell them that you design wallpaper. Everyone's going to get excited about that. And so I would just keep a couple samples of wallpaper in my purse and I would go out places and I would wait for them to ask me, like, what do you do? Because they would inevitably always ask, like, do you have samples? Do you have a website? Can I see some of this? And I'd go, sure, it's right here. And you know, everywhere I go, I would try to bring some wallpaper with me just to be able to have that in case I met someone or their sister-in-law is an interior designer or, you know, so that's really how it happens, is that you have to be taking some action towards your goal. You can't just expect Instagram to do it for you, and you can't just like think about the feeling of it and expect it to manifest itself.
No, no, you cannot. That being said, now with so many events and so many opportunities to go be yourself and sling some cards, where are you going? Do you go to the trade shows? Do you go to High Point? Do you go to KBIS and IBS to go meet people? Where do you go? Design
It's
Chicago.
interesting because like I used to, okay, so I got divorced the first year that I was in business, but my ex-husband is a flight attendant for Delta Airlines. So I used to have flight privileges and I could go anywhere in the country at any time. So I would go to Vegas Market and I would go to ICFF in New York and I went to Denver Design Week one time and I went to Legends in LA and you know, I would just literally hop on a plane and get an Airbnb like when I landed. And I would go all over the country with wallpaper samples and I would go to these events. And one amazing connection was a group called Ivy. And I'm not going to plug Ivy right now, but it's a project management tool that's also like an accounting software. And it was eventually bought by House, and everyone had their feedback about that decision to sell the business. But when it was still just Ivy, it was a way for designers around the country to connect. And there was a Facebook group where people like, you know, there's 5,000 or 7,000 people in this Facebook group all around the country doing different kinds of design. And you could post a question in there and you could say, hey, there's an event coming up and Ivy was sponsoring the cocktails. And you would just go and meet all these people because you had that one thing in common, that you were all like users of Ivy. So like that was really good for me for a portion of years in the beginning. I was like one of the first 100 people to like pay for the software, and I wasn't even using it for accounting, you know, because you would put in your markup and then like your customer couldn't see it. Like I'm always marking things down. I'm like always giving people a trade discount. So it doesn't work the same way, like negative 20%, you know. But that was a really good one because they were organized and they had events every month. Um, I think there's a lot of different groups where you can get to know people more intimately if you meet every month. Like there's a couple in Chicago that I thought about joining. But I do have two young kids, so I don't get to travel as much as I'd like. And I've never been to High Point, actually, if you can believe that. I love going to trade shows. Haven't been to ICFF since before COVID, but I love going to trade shows and I go to like things like NeoCon in Chicago. Um, it's trying to hit 21 birds with one stone. That's my motto. Like, I want to go to a place where I can meet 20 people at the same time and have conversations with all of them in one day versus doing 21 lunch and learn presentations, which will take me 6 months to get to everyone. And I have to spend $100 every time I go because I'm buying lunch for these people and wine and cheese for these people. Like, I would much rather show up to a place where I'm going to meet a bunch of new people all in one go. And, you know, sometimes what you think is your competition is not. So like Benjamin Moore has a retailer in Illinois called JC Licht. And the JC Licht showrooms often have a lot of wallpapers that they carry already. But when I tell them like, hey, I'm local and I can customize things and the lead time could be 2 weeks or less, they go, ooh, okay, we'll keep that in mind in case someone comes in and they need something specific, right? Or you can go to a party that they're sponsoring and meet their designers, and they will actually connect you to people where you think like, oh, I can't show up there because I'm sort of like a competitor. It's not necessarily true. So I go places like that. I try
Yeah.
to be places where lots of designers are in one place.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because we've gotten to this point where, it used to be, cocktail parties. And then you'd have all these people come to a cocktail party and people would leave thinking, I didn't meet anybody.
Right.
I just went, and the people who were throwing the cocktail parties were saying, I spent hundreds of dollars and I didn't get anything out of it. And then it became all lunch and learns. And then people would go, yeah, but it's boring. It's just lunch and learns. And then, so now we're striving for a new level of social engagement. It's really interesting. It's just really interesting. And that's why, like you mentioned, you hadn't been to High Point. I haven't been to High Point either. For some reason, around that time of year, I've just always, twice a year, I'm always so busy.
It's a busy time. Yeah.
It's never been the one that I went to. It will be. I will be there. But I also have just such an appreciation. I do all the programming for the West Edge Design Fair in Santa Monica, and it's a boutique, trade show. It's so much fun. And that's what I love about it. The things like, that's what I get excited about now, right? It's like West Edge and Round Top. Round Top is someplace that I have to go. I have to go see it one day, and Freeze in LA. And, these are things that I just get excited about. Same for you, I imagine.
I mean, like I was considering showing at ICFF, but Wanted by Design is now within ICFF, and they have like a showcase of like new and up and coming people. Even though I've been around for 8 years and I want to like be an established brand, like I'd rather hang out with those guys, and I'd rather be in the spots where like something innovative is happening or something a little quirky or weird is happening, because I don't need to compete with the Schumachers and the Kravitz of the world. I don't think those showrooms offer the same kind of avant-garde outlook on wall coverings that I do. So they're just like in a category of their own, just like Wayfair.com is in its own category. Like if you want that, go buy it there. So I'd rather hang out with artists, to be honest with you, than anybody else. And a lot of times artists that are really savvy and they've been selling their work, they're usually connected to a good amount of interior designers. Like a friend of mine, Eric Gushy, started a gallery here in Chicago called Art Trust. And a lot of times interior designers will go to the opening. So I go to the opening and I can have a glass of wine with a bunch of artists and see my people, but I might meet some interior designers at the same time.
There you go.
So that's my kind of like cross section of where innovation is happening and something a little bit cutting edge or new or weird, or what is that? Is it really wallpaper? Like I want to be somewhere where that's going on rather than the very commercialized, world of design.
Totally get it. And I totally appreciate the time. I love your work. And for those listening, go check the show notes. There will be a link to Relativity Textiles so that you can see Erin's work. And if you're designing a project that you think it would be appropriate for, she sells it too. So there you go. Erin, thank you so much for the time today. This was great.
Thank you so much, Josh. It was really fun talking to you.
Man, I love this. I have a new sponsor partner on the show that I want to introduce you to if you're not already familiar with them. If you are a specifying designer, architect, landscape architect, or savvy design enthusiast, if you have heard about the quiet luxury movement, this idea of crafting a lifestyle around understated elegance, simplicity, and sophistication, there's more to it than that. And I will add uncomplicated living. Isn't that what we all strive for? I am extremely happy. I'm really thrilled to share a company that embodies all of this, utilizing proprietary technology
and a focus on sustainability in their stunningly beautiful products. It's TimberTech. TimberTech is the premium decking company delivering multi-tonal, color blending, and natural wood textures in a product that is virtually indistinguishable from a natural wood product. What does this mean? It means it's everything wood should be. A beautiful look that blends seamlessly with a well-designed space, providing years of enjoyment and performs the way you want it to. No splintering, fading, peeling, cracking, or rotting. I had a wood deck at our Manhattan Beach home, and I gotta tell you, it was exasperating every year doing the random board flip, taking out nails, resetting them, restaining them. It was a complete pain. It was complicated, and I didn't look forward to it. I wish I had TimberTech, because TimberTech is not only uncomplicated, it's beautiful. It comes in over 20 finish options and 9 collections, and 85% of the material is recycled. This is premium decking for your next project. Learn more and specify it for your next design project. TimberTech on the socials or timbertech.com, where you can find a retailer near you, as well as a number of tools to create, design, order samples, and get the expert help you may need. TimberTech is uncomplicated luxury and performs. It's your choice for your next deck project. Thank you, Erin. Amazing. Love that. Thank you to Convo by Design partner sponsors Thermosol, TimberTech, Pacific Sales, Monogram, and Design Hardware. And thank you for taking the time to listen, subscribe, download, and share Convo by Design. Thank you to everyone who's made a show or guest suggestion. Please keep them coming. I love them, and I use many of them, and I answer every email that you send me. I created this show for the design community in 2013, and who better to know what's working on ground level but those who do it day in and day out. So please reach out via email, convobydesign@outlook.com, and on Instagram @convobydesign with an X. Thank you again to those subscribing to the show. By doing so, you receive every new episode the moment it's published. You also receive the Design Messenger episodes on select Mondays that touch on new developments taking place in the industry. Drinking About Design on the occasional Friday, where I get together with some amazing creatives over drinks, and the Convo by Design Icon Registry episodes on the last Thursday of each month, where we enshrine exceptional creatives in our Hall of Fame. Until we meet again, thank you for listening. Be well, and take today first.